Hey, beautiful being. And I want to connect with you today to remind you of your divine design. Nature doesn't make any mistakes. And look, so often we walk through life, we bumble along, and sometimes we get the impression, the message, maybe we're even told along the way that there is something fundamentally wrong with us. There is something fundamentally wrong with our nature, with our being, with who we are, with just how we're doing us in the world, right? There is so much messaging that goes on at so many different layers. I speak with people who have been told they have a broken brain. And I want to remind you that you are divinely designed. You can do things like breathe without effort. You're digesting without effort. There are things going on in your body all of the time in your design on the physical level that are just purely taking place by the beauty of you being created as you are. And this is also true of other layers of our being, of our emotional being, of our mental scape, and of our spiritual scape. These are hardwired into our being to function and operate in particular ways. And there is nothing innately wrong or broken or damaged about any of it, right? But what can happen when we cause harm to ourselves, when we cause harm to others, when we get stuck in patterns and cycles that are just not helpful in some way, or that are even self-defeating or self-sabotaging, is that often has some history somewhere once upon a time in the past where it was useful for us, where we learnt that that was a pattern that we could either survive or adapt with. And where it can become unhelpful is as it's become something that we've latched onto, that we've repeated, that we've become familiar with, as uncomfortable it is as it is, it no longer serves. It certainly doesn't serve the same purpose anymore, and it doesn't serve in our own benefit. And that's when we come into places where we feel stuck or we feel challenged. But I want to convey the message that there are no mistakes in it, that you are not broken in that. And so if that is a message that you've been told somewhere along the way, I'm here to remind you, you are divinely designed. And there are societal constructs that don't always understand and work with our natural modes of being. Namely, there are some big industries as well that question the very fundamentals of our health. For example, you know, the pharmaceutical industry is massive, and it would often have us believe that our natural immune system isn't strong, isn't capable of working well. There is the mental health, in the so-called health, mental wellness health industry and psychiatric industry. And again, lots of labels, lots of diagnoses, lots of drugs to tell you that things are wrong or broken within your system. And yet not always the system and practitioners within it who are trained within it are not always able to understand how mind and emotion can move in particular ways, and sometimes needs to move in challenging ways to get us to grow, to get us to another place. You know, for example, take grief as an example. It's possible to get diagnosed with depression if you've been grieving for too long. And I mean, what is too long in the world of grief? There is nobody who can tell somebody else what is an appropriate amount of time to grieve the loss of someone, something that has been very important to them. And our modern society is very quick to jump in and want to try and fix and heal and change things if it is uncomfortable with them. And so, again, it is okay to sit with the discomfort for some time. It is not pleasant, but it is okay to do it. And there is nothing wrong innately in that, because remember, in our innate design, we are divinely designed. And the more we can stay close to our true nature, and understand how nature operates. You know, if you feel very disconnected from yourself and disconnected from the natural world, go spend some time, go walking out in the bush, go get barefoot, go outside and breathe in some air, go and stand under the sun, do whatever it is that you can do to connect to the natural world as frequently as possible throughout your day, throughout your week, because every connection you have with the natural world reminds and activates your naturalness, right? It strengthens your nature. And of course, in being strong in our nature, we operate better on all levels, on our physical, our emotional, our psychological, our spiritual, because like a plant, when it has all of the right elements, it simply grows better. And we are no different in that sense, right? When we have the good, you know, the nutritious soils and good sunshine and, you know, access to clean resources, right? And then just like that plant that has the design within it, right? Every plant in that seed has that design woven into its fabric. It's going to grow into that plant no matter what. But depending on the conditions that surround it, that will either help or hinder the movement of that plant. And so again, in that way, we are no different. We have a divinely designed template that is with us from the moment we are seeded, excuse me, as egg and sperm. We were seeded at some point in time, and in that magical moment where literally a light goes off, they've caught this, they've captured this on I don't know what the technology is that they use, but they've been able to film this, right? There is actually a spark of light at the moment when that happens, at the moment of conception. And so we are divinely seeded and designed from that moment to grow in particular ways, right? In some ways, the pathway is already fated, it is already told, but the conditions around it to achieve that level of success and the fullness of who we can become are things that actually can change and adapt. And this is the lucky thing, this is where we're different from trees and plants. Trees and plants don't get to put up their hand and uproot themselves and say, I'm just going to go move over here because it's a better environment for me to be. No, but we humans have the opportunity to do things like that. We can actually, maybe it is a physical uprooting of ourselves and moving to another location, but we actually have the opportunity to shift, to make powerful decisions that can change the environment that we are in, that can change the physical environment that we find ourselves in, that can change the emotional environment, right? Think of that for a while, right? What does your emotional landscape look like around you? How nutritious is it to your being, right? How much is it helping or hindering your process? And how about the psychological? What is the message like? The level of thought, the clarity, the affirmations or lack thereof, right? What is the mental scape like in order for the being for you to grow? Is it a healthful and a helpful environment or a hindrance to your growth? And then, of course, the spiritual. And this connects to where is love, where is purpose, where is deep connection, where is meaning, right? All of those things come forward in that aspect. And again, even as you feel into that, you may feel yourself growing, right? And you know, expanding into those things, because your soul knows, your hardwiring knows your divine template and what is like sunshine to you, what is good and right, and what is light to your being, right? Your light essence within, let that shine. And to let that shine, you need to be around and with and influenced by things that can help that process along. So there are no mistakes in your divine design. Please don't let people you know, or messaging tell you differently, that somehow you are broken or innately unfixable, you know, or that I don't know, or that you were, the one I've never understood, I'm sorry to say, I've never understood, to be born in sin. I've never understood it, to be around a child, you know, and to see the most gorgeous creatures come into the world there is nothing sinful, there is nothing evil in a child. And how can a message be put into someone that from the moment you are born, that there is something wrong with you? I just think that that is such a disservice to helping people be who they can be. So is there messaging that is unhelpful to you that you can prune and shed and shift? Are there things in your environment that you can prune and shed and shift? Are there things in the emotional landscape and the spiritual landscape that you can prune and shed and shift? And what is like sunlight to you? What feeds you? What do you gravitate towards? What helps you expand as a being and shine your gorgeous light? As always, I would love to know. Have a magnificent day. Much, much love.